What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another live stream. We're just going to go ahead and jump right into it because we're a couple minutes late as it is. Gotta say hi to all the usual suspects here. HB Reptiles Herbert, stream sponsor, is always in here, number one. 1776 Exotics as an appropriate name for our guest to have a 1776 Exotics in the house. Black Smoke, hyped up. Tyler, what's up, man? Got Silver Cash in here again. PD's. All right, cool. Yeah, we're just going to go ahead and get right to it with the one and only Miss Montana Hallmark.
Hi.
Thanks for coming on.
Yes, it was my pleasure. Appreciate it.
Don't mind me sounding like a train because I don't know what happened. We went after dinner. We took our daughter for a walk, and then it started to lightly sprinkle, and then my allergies just went nuts. So we've been having a ton of forest fires and crap around here lately, and so there's a ton of smoke in the air, and it's been brutal. So
yeah, no, I completely understand. I don't know if you can tell, but my eyes are swollen because allergies for me too, and my face wash it decided to just outbreak.
So, I guess the easiest way to start here is, first of all, I'll warn you ahead of time that everyone knows I don't plan these things. I have no script, no pre-formulated questions. I look at it as more of a way for, at least the way I run my podcast or whatever you want to call it, is it's more of two friends hanging out, having a beer, just shooting the shit. You know what I mean? It's it's supposed to be super casual and laid back. So,
right.
Before we get started, though, I figure you're probably one of the most well-known, unknown people in the reptile hobby, if that makes sense. Because you told me that this is your first live stream or interview or anything, right?
Yep, this is my first.
Yeah, and so you're not in front of the camera in that regard. Obviously, in your social media you are. So if we have people in here that by some chance don't know who you are or your story, why don't you give them a quick elevator speech?
Well, I pretty much got involved with reptiles after I graduated from high school because honestly, I didn't know what I was going to do. And my dad didn't allow me to have any reptiles whatsoever. He's scared, hates snakes.
Mine too.
It's okay. I mean, it's understandable. I mean, he got bit by a water moccasin, so completely understand. Yeah, as a kid, so it's understandable. But once I started, I moved out and I had my own collection and everything. It went from there, and then I had actually several friends during that time, and they just invited me out. Like Bart, he invited me out to come to a reptile show, and a couple other people, and it was just fun from there. And then I was like, hey, I like going to this stuff. I like, educating the kids and stuff like that. So it was really fun. So
yeah, so it seems like at least from my limited exposure to you, that you're like the queen of the reptile shows. You're at all of them, and everybody knows who you are and whatnot.
I try.
Yeah. Do you breed in that yourself?
No, back in the day I did. So bearded dragons, crested geckos were a complete mistake. I wasn't even supposed to breed those, but I did. Leopard geckos, and it was just the more basic, everybody's got these guys, and I had the ball pythons, and I was just about there. But if nobody knew before, I had an ex during that time, and he turned up the heat in my snake shed and killed almost my whole collection.
I remember this. Yeah.
Yeah. He killed almost everything that I had, and it broke my heart. It was actually the first time owning a retic during that time, because that's what I want to get into is retics.
Yeah.
And so, I was starting to get into that because I was like, I love the ball pythons. I think every morph out there is so pretty, and you wish you could have every one of them, but you can't.
Yeah.
So, but it was very hard to go from, I bought somebody's collection and I just didn't know what I had. You know, you can't just go from there. You don't know what the het and everything. You just don't know what you have. You don't know what's going to come out. And so starting from scratch is definitely the way to go, and then building it up. So that's pretty much what Teekers, oh, if I can move, that's what she's going to be doing.
Okay.
So that's the plan.
Morphic Exotics actually says, I think someone's snake wants some attention. I saw it knocking on the glass.
Yeah, Todd here. Yeah, he's great.
So what is Tiki?
So Tiki is actually a lavender albino, and Todd's just a phantom. Okay. So that's what we're working with. And then at some point, I'm gonna get that albino gene to go with the albino lavender albino and go with that, and then see what goes from there. But you can produce albinos all day, every day, and everybody loves them. But I kind of want to, yeah, retics are. That almost seems like everything that I've seen at a show. And the tiger gene has always been something that I've been a fan of. I don't care what it is. It's tiger done.
Garrett Hartle out in Pittsburgh. The first time I went out there to hang out with him and learn about the Superdwarfs and that, we keyed into pretty quickly that I have an attraction to the Slayer Superdwarf stuff.
Oh, really?
And he had a Slayer Super Tiger het albino that I kick myself to this day for having not bought.
Oh, man.
Because I attribute, it's hard to show unless you can actually put it in your hands, but the Slayer stuff to me, it reminds me of Desert Ghost and ball pythons. Mm-hmm. Like the stuff is super bright, it's really clean, it's got that same kind of like, not pastel as in like the gene, but pastel, like, chalky look, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like it's flat. It has no shine to it. And I just, this Slayer Super Tiger was just nuts. And I was like, man, I should have done it. But
yeah, I've definitely seen a couple of the dwarf genes. And I mean, it's so crazy that they only get to a certain size. And it's like, no, everybody thinks that retics are just like, the largest snakes in the world. But whenever you start getting into the dwarf, it's almost like, wow, like I didn't know this existed.
Yeah, because I've said that I want a retic at some point. We're not really supposed to have them here. Yeah. So that's part of the problem I'm dealing with. But I've always said I can't bring myself to buy a mainland because I do 99% of the work myself in here. And when they get to be 16, 18 foot, I feel like working with them by yourself is just dangerous. You know what I mean?
Definitely, for sure. I mean, like even going down to, Houston and being with Bart and Joe, they've got those big berms. And if you're not careful, you can get bit pretty quickly. And nobody would know, for a little bit. But I mean, that was one of the mistakes that had happened before I had gotten there. They rubbed a little bit of rabbit on their arm and got bit. And then like 5 minutes later, he was like, "Where's my guy at?" But he got him. He was just like, "What are you doing, man?" But yeah.
PD Reptiles in the chat said when he went to Garrett's place, he fell in love with the marble. The marble is just incredible in any of the retics, quite honestly.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's that gene. That and the what you might know. What was the one that was at Arlington, beginning of the year that guy was walking around with? It had it was kind of silvery looking with that yellow head.
Oh, the shit. I know who you're talking about, and I know exactly what you're talking about. And
I think you had a picture of him.
I did.
Did you? I should have turned. I can edit it. I should have plugged my TV in too because I have the ability to simulcast my TV into the stream and like pull up your Instagram or whatever. I might get it ready because that way we can go that route anyway. But yeah, I can't remember if that was the. No, PD is not the rainbow.
You mean the anthrax? No, not the anthrax. No, the one that I had taken whenever I had the second time of going to the Arlington show was a tiger het phantom is what I had.
Huh.
But I'm trying to think.
Yeah. Let me grab the plug the TV in here and I'll find it. If not on your page, I know right where to look.
Was I holding a scorpion? If I was holding a scorpion, I know exactly who you're talking about. I think that was the last show that TDR, I believe, was at.
Yeah, let's see. We'll turn that on. Bear with us, everybody.
Let me see what I've got.
All right, let's see here. It may have been rainbow now that I think about it, but I've seen the rainbow stuff. I saw the rainbow stuff when I was at Jay's place.
Mm-hmm.
So. Oh, Ocelot.
Ocelot.
I think that's what it was, but we'll find out for sure.
We'll find out.
While we wait for that, Silver Cash dropped a super chat on us here. It says, what's your craziest fan at Expo stories? You have any like weird super fans?
Oh my goodness. Okay, I do have one. It's more of like, it was in the Austin area. So we were at one of the herp shows in Austin, right? Round Rock show. And, I'm walking around. I walk over to Blake's table, talk to him and his wife for a little bit. I walk over to another buddy's table. We're talking for a little bit. And we're wearing masks because that's just how Austin is. Because Austin is just like, no, you can't do this. And so you're going around and everything. And then like somebody had just, they touched me on the shoulder and they were like, are you Montana Hallmark? And I was like, yes, how may I help you? He was just like, there was a different kind of vibe because like he had a mask on too, but I didn't like realize who he was. And I can't even remember. He gave me his name. He shook my hand. He was really polite. And I can't say like creepy or anything like that, but I mean, he just wanted to really meet me and get to know me and was just like telling me about all these, what was it? It was like chameleons and stuff like that. And I was like, hi, like just when random people kind of come up to me and they start talking to me, that's kind of like the only weird kind of type deal that I guess I could say, because I'm like, crap, I don't know your name. I don't remember your face. And I think that happens to a lot of people though. And
I thought I had to sneeze. Guess not. It's going to be one of those nights, I can just tell. Yeah, it's funny he asked that because I was gonna ask a similar question. If we do you mind if I show your Instagram on the stream?
I don't care. No, I think everybody's seen it by now.
Probably, yeah. You're obviously not shy, at least not in social media.
No,
but you're some of your pictures are fairly tame, but some of them can be rather risque, which is
very
totally fair. But it makes me wonder. It's like, at what level do you realize that you're starting to draw maybe unwanted attention, as opposed to, let's be honest, in today's society, sex sells. That's not going to change. And if you're doing brand deals for companies or whatever, they come to you because they know you're attractive and you draw the audience. Yeah. But there's got to be, I'm sure there's a point there where you're like, okay, we're making progress, but now we're starting to draw the wrong crowd while we're at it.
There's that too. Now, thank goodness during that time, after graduating high school and everything, I wanted to be in the modeling so bad. Like I wanted to do like, let's say Victoria's Secret model and stuff like that. Like I wanted to be at the top of the game right out of the gate, but that's not how it works. Of course not. So like trying to get people and following and everything, it just, is hard, just dealing with one thing after another. And plus like being in high school, I'm sure a lot of people will be like, no, she had all the confidence in the world. I wasn't a very confident person. I was very insecure. Like I can't tell you how many people would just be like, that you don't have this or that, and you're never going to make it. And, I just kept hearing it over and over again. And I was just like, you know what? I finally met with a really good photographer, and I proved everybody wrong. And so it went from that, and then just doing the modeling from like bikini and lingerie. But then I was finally, you know what? Like, there's going to be at some point, I'm going to have kids one day, which I almost did. And I want to do something different. And so now kind of getting into, like having a logo or a t-shirt or anything like that. I mean, of course, anything like a pretty face, I mean, it's going to sell. But at the same time, like, I started thinking about that a long time ago. It's like, crap, like, I don't want that bad crowd, but it happens to everybody. It's not just, and the sickening thing, the other really sickening thing is that like people impersonate kids for older men to follow them sometimes, and it's just, that's disgusting to me. Like I could never do that. Never ever do that. That's why most of my stuff, is guns related. It's got, America related, and it's got reptiles related. But, at some point, yeah, I have really, really thought about that before. But thank God some of it has been kind of like laid off and put into a different direction for sure.
Have you been, other than that interaction at the show, have you been approached in an unfavorable way or even a dangerous way or something by people that are acting inappropriately or whatever?
Right. No, actually, no. There's I guess I intimidate people. I don't know why, because I'm only 123 pounds, and
I'll show everybody why.
Yeah. But I mean, just like, I don't know. But no, nobody has really come up to me.
This is probably why.
Yeah. And nobody knows like how tall I really am. I'm actually like 5'10", so I'm actually really, really tall. So
oh wow.
I guess you could say so to that too.
So we also need to talk about your baby here.
My blue.
Your truck is in all or a lot of these pictures. We'll skip past some of these. So tell us. I don't want to get flagged on YouTube. Right. Tell us about your truck. What's the story there?
The story there. So, had this truck in my life since I was 8. It belonged to my stepdad, and after a couple years, him and my mom split up, bad divorce. And that was the truck that I remember as a kid. That was the last thing that I had as a kid. And so, and I've always been a tomboy. I've never been the one to like play with Barbies. I'll always play with like Tonka trucks and stuff like that. So like I at one point in my time, like I was in high school when I needed a vehicle. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go and find that truck. That's my truck. That truck belongs to me. He told me that was mine. And so I guess somewhere in between like 2005 or 2006, he had given it to a kid about junior year of me being in high school. I found it. I found it on Craigslist, and I bought it.
The actual truck.
The actual truck. So it's funny because the caption on Craigslist said, wife wants it gone, my loss, your gain, come get it, $2,500. And I went and I bought it the next day. I was not gonna let it sit there. It was rough. I mean, I had older pictures of like when there was rust all over on the paint and everything, and it was just it's terrible. It broke my heart because that's not what the truck looked like whenever I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I completely understand when somebody's like, they have sentimental value towards a vehicle or towards honestly anything that their dad has given them, or any parent for sure. And that was the thing, was that like every And that was another thing. Everybody in high school was like, "Oh, I got the coolest truck in the parking lot." And I was like, "Well, guess what? I got the coolest truck in the parking lot." So it ended up being like that. But yeah, that's my kid. That's my baby. There's a
So
lot of
what's the plan with it? Are you gonna restore it at some point, or?
So the plan is to restore it for sure. This is something that everybody has asked. This is something that everybody wants to know so bad of what I'm doing with this truck. Right now, at the moment, we're at a halt until we can buy property and get a shop onto
Yep.
it and everything. So, but the plan is let's put a bigger, stronger lift kit on it. It's had the same lift kit on it for over 15 years. So it's in rough shape there. But I mean, mechanically, it's fine. Mechanically fine. The four-wheel drive is messed up a little bit. We figured that out yesterday. We had a little fun with it. But the plan, the big major plan, and I'm sure this is going to blow up and everybody's going to love it. It's going to be the new Galaxy Square. It's going to end up having a galaxy wrap all the way around it, and it's going to be perfect. Like, I mean, it's going to have the bells and whistles to everything that a square body should have. So,
Oh wow, okay,
yeah,
that'll be cool. I want an old truck someday too. The one I've been not searching for, but the one I'm going to get at some point is because I remember when I was a kid, my dad had a late model. Probably you said yours is an '87. This one, his is probably '86 or '7 as well. He had a Chevy Suburban.
Gotcha.
And it was a white Suburban with that blue cloth interior and the blue carpet, blue headliner, and blue dash and everything else. And he drove that thing all the way up till 2000 when he bought his last truck that he just recently replaced. So that's the only truck I knew as a kid.
Yeah.
You know? And so what I really want is I want a 90 Chevy Suburban with the big block.
Oh, the big block.
That's the year I was born. I was like, I want one from the year I was born. I want the big engine in it. And some of those Suburbans restored on 37s with like a 6-inch lift look super nice.
Yep. And
I want one done up real good, you know, with the 3 or 4 or whatever rows of seats in it's got. I don't even care if it's got the blue interior. That'd be awesome.
Right. Like, I don't care if it's blue, black, pink. Who cares?
But that's on my wish list. And I've always wanted an older, like a late 40s, early 50s big fender truck.
Yep. I've always wanted a 53. 53 with a brow. I think that would be nice.
The five window or the big window?
The big window.
Yeah. The five windows are really pricey because all that glass is hard to get now. But
yeah. My dad has a 57. Yeah, he's got a 57 Chevy that he's restoring at the moment.
So how has we saw in there, and we can get into it later if you want. Obviously, you do have some brand deals. There's companies you work with in that. But aside from that, how has the modeling aspect gone for you?
The modeling, I mean, like, most of those pictures that are taken are all from me at the moment. So I haven't really been able to get a hold of any, I guess you could say, like, new photographers, but I always love my older photographers, like the ones that I've had since the beginning. The first photographer that I ever had was sober, and he's who made me who I am. Like, I will never forget that. Like, the day that I went to that car show with my truck, and he saw my style. I was in boots, booty shorts, of course, and just a simple t-shirt. And he was just
Daisy Duke look.
Yeah. He was just like, come on, let's take some pictures. You know, like, he does not judge anybody. And he just saw potential from the beginning and was just like, I love your look and let's go with it. And so from there, it went up. And so that's what really started the whole modeling, and it helped a lot. But, you know, I'm always open. And that's also another funny thing. At reptile shows, there is a lot of photographers that are there.
Yeah.
And I love it. And I love the people that with like, the cameras and the GoPros and stuff like that. Like, I wish I could do that, but I'd feel embarrassed.
Yeah, everybody carries around a camera these days.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, well, you don't want to miss out on all the morphs.
well, we all think we're some professional YouTuber or something too. Like we're actually going to make a living. The only people that get to do that are Miguel. So
right. I had to kick him in the shin. No, I'm just kidding. I love Miguel.
if you don't mind me asking, have you personally had any work done?
Work done
Physically?
Physically, no.
Is that something that you're averse to, or just haven't had a reason to, or?
I just never had a reason to. No.
Just naturally gifted. I see how it is.
Naturally
just
gifted.
Don't have to worry about it. I woke up like this.
My poor mom blessed me with some shit.
Well, the reason I ask is we 2 weeks ago, I think it was, we had Miri Burnish on, and she's like your biggest fan.
Really?
Which I think is hysterical because she wanted to acknowledge the fact that she's gorgeous as well. Mm-hmm. But she told us that she had, but I think her stuff, like the way her pictures look in your world, would like be two peas in a pod. You guys could do like duo shoots that would just break the internet easily.
And that's what I've always been planning to do too, with another model to come in and like both of us, even if we're like unequally built and equally built, I think no matter what, if you've got two faces that everybody sees all the time, perfect. Yeah. It's going to go. So.
Well, and are you in Dallas?
I'm in the Fort Worth area.
Okay. Well, she's I think she's there now, or she's headed your way. So she's going to be right in your back door.
Oh, before really?
Too long. Yeah, she's moving. She's moving. I think the end of the month, something like that, to the Dallas area.
Oh, so wow.
That'll be cool. I do sense a slight bit of an accent. Are you a Texas native?
I mean, I grew up here. I was actually born in Germany. My
really?
dad was military, so my dad was Air Force at first, and then he was like, you know what? I want to fly Apaches. So he started flying Apaches and moved into Army. Wow. And started doing Army. And so I was actually born in Germany, but by that time, I was maybe a couple months old, and then they brought me over here, and I grew up here. So
how do I mean, you weren't old enough to know better, but how does that work? Because you're born on a military installation, or do you not get a German citizenship?
No, actually you get an American citizenship because you're still technically on American soil.
Yeah.
So coming over here, but now my social security number, that's a whole nother story because like every single time I have to go get a hunting license or I get like anything, people will look at me and like, you don't belong here. I'm like, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
It's not just a standard 9-digit like the rest of us.
Yeah. Mine's all weird.
That's bizarre. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it's a little bit different, but I mean, it's not bad. I mean, I've got the Texas driver's license. I just give it to the people and I'm like, just take this, put in the information. I've lived here all my life. So yeah, no, because getting a hunting license is like treacherous. I have to sit there with the people and I'm like, no, I've lived here for a really long time.
Yeah, literally almost all of my life. Yeah. So it's obviously no closely guarded secret that you're an outdoorsy chick. You're not afraid to get dirty. You got the big lifted truck and all of the pictures with the guns and whatnot. I hesitate to go here, but all of my podcasts seem to go this way. Where do you stand on everything going on in the world right now?
Oh man, there's a lot of shit going on. I mean, like with everything that's really going on, I mean, you kind of got to be. Oh man, that's a hard question.
The reason I ask is because when I had Miri on, I talked to her for about 10 minutes before we went live,
Yeah.
And that was actually the first time, like this, it was the first time we'd ever actually spoken to each other face to face. And I picked up on the fact right away that her and I were going to be right along on the same page on pretty much everything we could come up with. And then after we stopped the live stream, we talked for another 25 minutes on some more political or contentious topics that I didn't care to bring up.
Yeah.
And once again, we were one and the same, you know what I mean? And I kind of got that vibe from you as well, because I hate to stereotype people, but stereotypes exist for a reason, because they're usually true, right?
Yeah.
You know, and so it's got to be, I mean, you happen to be in one of the more lenient or conservative states, but with arguably some of the most progressive cities in the country. And that has got to be maddening. I can only imagine.
Yeah, there's times when going down to Austin, Texas, there are just moments where I'm like, why am I here? You know, you get there and you're like, I ain't putting on no mask. What are you talking about? Like, you know, and it's always something with somebody, you know, and you know which stores you can't go into, and you know which stores that you're just like, I don't even want to put up with the fight. But now we can, because I mean everybody's getting fined for it. So I mean, there's so many different things and so many different stuff. I mean,
it's been a very frustrating year and a half, if not. And I think that's the easiest way to say it. You know what I mean?
It is.
You get to the point where you're just exhausted.
I'm fed up. Yeah.
At least our side of this discussion, you just are exhausted trying to rationalize what little common sense and logic we're using here. Yeah. And it's like, at some point, I can't fight this anymore, because they have quit listening, first of all, and they're obviously not putting A and B together to get C. They couldn't care less what the actual reality of the situation is. We're going this way because people want to be afraid or whatever.
Yeah, and it's funny because, like, I mean, I'll say it out. I don't sugarcoat anything. I don't make things look better. I don't make things look worse. You know, like, it is what it is. But like, when liberals want what they want, they say whatever feels to them, but they don't care about anybody else's feelings but their own. And that's the thing, is that's crappy, because they're not, some people don't see both sides of the story, but, you know, they want to see what's on social media and they want to see what's posted somewhere. But what's really going on is it's a whole control thing. Yeah. I'm 22 years old, and I know that it's a control thing. I was controlled by old men for a long time. Like, come on. Like, even when an 8-year-old can get up on stage and say that wearing these masks are pointless, that says something. And TikTok has so much of those videos to where kids and even, like, you know, like, people my age are like, what the hell's going on? Like, this is not right. Yeah. You know, and I know some of them out there are not, you know, they don't have the same mindset as I do, but at the same time, like, you can look and see what the chaos is being caused from behind the scenes, and people still want to be blind to it and think that, no, this is the way to go. Like, you know, Trump's a racist, or Trump does this, Trump does. Okay, I see this man being more supportive. He could be living a great, awesome life out on a beach house somewhere, but he's sitting there trying to fight for everybody's rights and trying to fight for everybody right now in America. Yeah. So yeah, and now they're coming around to do it again. Like, that LA County and Vegas have now instituted full mask mandates inside of businesses again, indoors, regardless of vaccination status. Take a vape, Take an effing vape, put a mask on, and let's see what goes through that mask. You're gonna see the vapes.
Well, the stupid thing about it now is because it's a knee-jerk reaction to a spike, because a spike in cases, which is not people dying. I mean, I don't have to tell you any of this. I know
those numbers are made up.
Yeah, right. But it's a spike in cases due to the Delta variant, which is understandably more contagious. So it's spreading faster, but it's less deadly. Oh, and by the way, completely unaffected to people that have already been vaccinated. Yet they're reacting to it this way, even though at this point, sitting here today, anybody in the United States of America that's over the age of like 6 or whatever that wants to get a vaccine can. And if you don't want to, more power to you. That is absolutely your freedom, and I'm never going to take that away from you.
Yep.
But if you're legitimately afraid of the Delta variant or COVID or whatever, and you have chosen to not get vaccinated, you do something about it. Yeah. You protect yourself or isolate or wear a mask if you believe they work or what have you. I don't care if you want to go out in a purple jumpsuit if you think it's going to work.
Yeah.
Stop telling those of us who have chosen the other path that we can't live.
Pretty much. I
mean, all the scientists have come out and said that if you're vaccinated, A, the likelihood of you even contracting the Delta variant is exceptionally low. And B, if you do, you literally cannot carry enough of it to give it to somebody else and be effective.
Yeah.
So.
And what's funny about this whole entire thing, so I think during the time of you meeting me, I worked at Home Base Lumber. I worked at Sutherland's Lumber down there in Copper's Cove. We had a mask type deal, but we didn't care. We did not care about who would come in wearing or not wearing a mask, because we gave the benefit, like we were just like, it's your choice. It's not our choice. I mean, us as a business, yeah, we're trying to keep everybody safe and everything, but there's no sense. I've seen so many businesses like yell and cuss at people just for not having a mask. That's not how you run business. How you run business is making the customer comfortable. You don't make them feel like they have the plague. You can't treat people like they have the plague. That's not okay. Yeah. And so, like, the whole entire time, and even before then, during that 2-week deal where they shut everything down and everything was closed, my store was still open. And we like bust our butts. We were there from 7 o'clock a.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. with no closing early or anything like that. I mean, that's just how we ran it. And we were in teams. We were in separate teams. But even before then, we weren't wearing masks. We weren't doing anything to kind of protect ourselves. And not really a whole lot of us even got it. And if we did, they pretended to be sick and stayed home. So, I mean, just like the whole entire time in my experience, I never got sick and I never had it. So I guess me being in that kind of age range where it either happens or it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But when they say that a baby has it, that's kind of like a red flag to what?
Yeah.
So to me, that's just kind of like, no.
Well, and I had heard the story about it today from a source that I adamantly trust. Mm-hmm. Like I don't trust the media in general, because at this point, all media is there for is to sell ads. There is no truth in journalism anymore. As long as they can make their revenue every month, that's all they care about. And you know what? They're a business, so be it. This source I adamantly trust because their entire existence was to do nothing but relay the facts as they were happening and let you make a decision about it. And they had said today that the total number of children under the age of 18 that died from COVID since the start of last year was less than 400. And granted, don't get me wrong, that one dead kid is too many. But between 300 and 600 die from the flu every single year. and we don't talk about it.
Oh yeah, there hasn't been a flu talked about since this whole thing.
the other thing that they don't want to address is every single one of that less than 400 had some other issue going on, comorbidity or morbidity, underlying conditions. They had childhood leukemia, and this is what finally took them out. You know, whatever, horrible situations, but not one died from COVID.
Yeah.
And yet the school board at the city that I grew up in, or the county I grew up in as a kid in California, just said every single kid going back to school at the start of the school season in a couple of weeks will be wearing a mask in the school at all times, period, regardless of vaccination status.
No.
There's literally no common sense to this whole thing, and there hasn't been since the beginning. And it's just been, you know, I was admittedly kind of a naysayer at the beginning, because I remember when this first thing started early last year, I remember tuning in to listen to Trump's White House address that he would do every afternoon on what the situation was going on and what we were doing with it, whatever, right? And I would listen like, okay, this is going to be a nothing burger. This is not a thing. It's, you know, it's another flu. People are going to get sniffles. A couple are going to die. Whatever. Okay, I'll eat crow on that. Obviously, I was wrong. But I was not wrong in the actual lethality of it. The numbers prove otherwise. And the fact that something like 80% of all COVID deaths list at least 2 more comorbidities on the certificate.
Yeah.
At least 2. You know, and it's just like, come on, people, like, open your eyes.
Yeah, there's just and you know what's funny is that all of a sudden there was a vaccine for it within just like, what, a couple months? So definitely was.
Well, in all fairness, because I understand where that argument comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And I get the people that on the surface say, no, I'm not going to go get this vaccine until we know more about it, because I don't want to be one of those people in 30 years like the mesothelioma guys that are saying, you know, were you prescribed the Pfizer shot in 2021 for COVID-19? Here's how you can get on the class action lawsuit. I get that argument.
Yeah.
The thing that people don't seem to realize, because they won't do their own research and they just believe what somebody on TikTok or freaking whichever news outlet you want to blame said in a 60-second soundbite, is we have been, as a country, have been developing the SARS vaccine for over a decade.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all corona. I mean, because we've had SARS and I can't remember the other ones that fall into that category. But that's all COVID-19 is a strain of SARS. And so literally all they did, the reason that they were able to get it out right away is they were able to take somebody that had COVID, and I don't know all the sciencey crap of how this works, but
right.
they literally identified what it was, turned that one dial another notch or two on the SARS vaccine, and deployed it because it was ready to go, because we've already done all of the testing.
Yeah.
You know, and people won't give them the credit for it, but the Operation Warp Speed that Trump put into play, the people that are claiming that was him rushing an unproven, untested, uncertified vaccine to the masses ahead of too early or whatever is not true. Because again, that vaccine had already existed. They just needed to alter that one digit or whatever to make it coronavirus, not this one or whatever.
Right.
And all Warp Speed did was cut all of the bureaucratic red tape bullshit to get it FDA approved, so that they could get it to the street as fast as possible, because they knew it was ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then people are like, well, I don't want it because it's not FDA approved. Like, it's signed off by every major university in the country that you'll approve. The CDC has already told you to go do it. Who you've been leaning on for all of your facts for the last year and a half.
Right.
How many more letters do you want assigned to it? Just because one government agency didn't and all the others did? That's what Warp Speed did, was take the FDA out of the picture so that they could get it to the street as soon as possible.
Yeah, and get it to people who wanted the vaccine.
Who wanted it. Oh, and by the way, every single person that has been in the hospital in the last 6 months for COVID are unvaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
Surprise, surprise, right? Like, yeah, it's just,
it's just
crazy.
it's just one thing after another. And, like people, it's like a spider web. It just keeps going. And once there's another little strand that they can put in, that's where they put it.
Yeah.
And so it just seems that's why I don't watch the TV. Like the most that I watch is the old Disney movies, because like I can't even stand to watch the TV no more sometimes because I got anger issues. And so I don't know if it's because my mom's side, because she's German, but man, I got some anger issues sometimes because I be sitting there and I'm just like, oh man, it's time to change the channel. Have another drink. And so it's just some of the stupid stuff that I do see. Not saying that the vaccine is dumb to get. My sister had to get it because she works in child health care. Yeah. And so just for her, I mean, the kids are always going to be sick.
Of course.
And so, I mean, that's pretty much how you would get, like strep throat and stuff like that. So, I mean, of course, it's very smart to get vaccinated, but there is a point where you, like with your company, you don't have to get vaccinated. But if anything does happen to you, like this, say like medically, then yeah. So other than that.
Yeah, I'll tell you, through all of this, it's been weird because I work for the federal government, so I fall under a whole different host of rules and policy and crap like that. And aside from my job, we didn't really participate with all the COVID bullshit up here in Montana at all.
Right.
For the most part, which I was grateful for, because I was watching what was happening in California and I was like, I had gone postal a long time ago. There's no way I'd put up with this. And so I had to deal with it with my job, and I had to deal with it in the hospital because it's required, and that's not going anywhere anytime soon. But the one that I feel bad for in this whole situation is the small business. Walmart's going to be just fine. Costco's going to be just fine. Those kind of places are going to they're going to survive. It's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. The small business is the one that gets hosed in this deal, because during the time of the mask mandates, they had a decision to make. You either require everybody wears a mask in your store, and then people like me will choose to go shop elsewhere that doesn't require it because I don't want to wear one. So you cut yourself off at the knees that way. Or you don't require a mask in your store, and all the people that are afraid of their own shadow say, I'm not going in there because I'm going to die. So you cut yourself off at the knees. Or the one that I will say that I liked was, I saw a couple of businesses here that put a sign up front that said, masks are encouraged, but we are not going to require you put one on. It's up to you. That kind of bridges the gap. You know what I mean?
It gives a choice.
Yeah, but the problem was, that's the way it should have been from the get-go. But when they wall-to-wall blanket required masks everywhere, that put the small business in a tough spot for people like me saying, you know what, I'll just order on Amazon. I'm not going to your store. Screw you, kind of thing. And it took all of the power out of the consumer's pocket to say, I have the freedom to choose where I want to. I have the freedom to say, you know what, I don't want to deal with your policy, so I'm going to go to your competitor. That's just how it works. That's the free market system, right? And so I've watched so many small businesses struggle, fail, play the game. I mean, the last number that I saw was there was somewhere north of 100,000 small businesses in America that closed their doors during 2020 that will never come back. Yeah. And small business employs the majority of people in America.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
it's like, and people are standing outside with, with their picket signs saying this place wants you to kill your grandma because they're not requiring a mask. Like, open your eyes, people. Like,
yeah, if she needs to put a mask on, put a mask on.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. But no, people don't want to think like that. It's all a control thing. Once they feel like, oh well, the government says to do this and we're gonna do this and this. No, like, if you're going to sit there and say, well, people have a choice, people have emotions, and people have this and this and this, then that's what you should let them do, not demand them to do something.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of people, start into a screaming match. Like, I went to Sephora one time, and I'm very happy that my boyfriend did not lose his gasket there, because they were very persistent. It was like one employee after another. It was like, put on a mask. And it was like, okay, look, anger issues are about to come in. I'm about to go off. Like, if you just say one more thing to me. But it was more funny because when this did happen, the cashier was probably the best employee that was in there. I don't remember her name, but she was awesome. She read my shirt and she said, "Does your shirt say balls deep tackle?" I said, "Yes, ma'am, it does." And so, like, I knew that she was like me, and she knew, like, I don't really care about these masks. That's how a lot of us were, especially who were working during that time. We were all like, I'm tired of it. Like, I don't care. And I know a couple people, like, if you have health issues and you have a situation to where even if you go home and you have, like, an elder that's there, then just do the right thing for yourself and the elder and do what you need to do. We don't know everybody's situations. And it's not really for us to know everybody's situations and everybody's health. And that was another thing with the health card. Why? Like, you're not even supposed to ask me, like, any medical reasons or issues that I have.
Well,
Did I get you there?
No, and I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that guy that's gonna try to sit here and correct you or anybody in the comments that I'm watching.
Right.
Because that's not really my place. But that is one of the biggest common misconceptions in this country, and it just happens to be top of mind right now because everybody is screaming HIPAA this and HIPAA that. Because how can you say that I have to be vaccinated to go to this Kiss concert? How you're not allowed to ask me that. That is a very commonly misunderstood application of HIPAA. There is the only time that HIPAA is at play is when your healthcare provider gives out your healthcare information without your understand or your knowledge and approval.
Right. Like your physician and everybody else.
I can ask you if you've been vaccinated. If you choose not to answer, that's your prerogative. But I have every freedom. I have the ability to do so. There is nothing stopping me. Your employer can absolutely say, you need to prove to me that you've been vaccinated or you cannot work here. That is 100% legal. And it's happening all over the country, and it's their right to do it. It's a private business. It's no different than the situation is no different than them saying you cannot come to work drunk or you don't get to work here.
Right.
It is exactly the same, but because the vaccination thing is such a polarizing topic, everybody starts screaming HIPAA, and HIPAA does not apply to anything except for your OB calling me and saying, yeah, she had a pap smear last Thursday. Like that literally is against the law.
Right.
But if you tell me that was the case, or if your best friend tells me that's the case, that's completely legal because you've given your best friend that information. If they pass it on, that's their problem. And so that's another thing that's been frustrating, when you get because there's been all these talks about the vaccine passports and, you got to be able to provide proof for this, and like everybody and everybody in the public eye. That's the problem. Everybody in oh, she's gone. Where'd she go? She'll be back. I'm gonna run through the comments real quick while I wait for. Actually, I gotta blow my nose. Oh, sorry about that. I'm like super stuffy. Hey, she's back. There she is. Where'd you go?
I don't know what happened. Everything went black.
you just tired of listening to me rant. It's like, I'm out. See you later.
No, if anything, it's all educational.
Brian Cuska did that. He just got up and left in the middle of a stream. He just left me hanging. I was with Garrett, but yeah, he got tired of me talking to Garrett, and he had been on like 6 other streams that day, so he just got up and turned the camera off and left. Like, he didn't even close out, so it just left his screen up there black. Yeah, that one bugs me because everybody in the public eye, so to speak, everybody you hear on the news, or God forbid, I mean, I saw a study that said that somewhere north of 30% of Americans get all of their news from Facebook. That is a disgusting statistic.
Yeah,
because nothing on Facebook is real.
No. It's just like it's just like a fake model, Yes. Like there's nothing real there.
Well, there's nothing wrong with a tune-up here or there on a model. It's not a big deal.
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
Not everybody gets to just go through life perfect and flawless, Montana. That's just not how it works.
I didn't get that. I got my ass busted with some spark plugs. I got a mug thrown at me. Like, come on, man. CPS should have been there.
That's right, yeah.
No,
I had you just got the good genes, that's all.
Yeah, my mom, thank you. And my dad. My dad.
You said your mom is German? She's actually from Germany?
No, she's not from Germany, but she's like German, Polish, and there's like a couple other mixed deals in there. We all are mutts at some point. But
all of us for that matter.
Yeah. But my dad, he's actually his mom, my grandma, she's Cherokee. So I mean, like everybody, like whenever I would show up to sets, people would be like, you need to scrub off that tan. And I'm like, where? How do I do that? Like I get really, really dark in the summertime. And
oh, bummer.
Yeah, oh, bummer.
That's
And there actually was a time when I went down to Sal Padre my senior year. Yeah. And like everybody started speaking Spanish and I was like, I don't know. Because I was just so dark. Like I look like a red orangish color whenever I'm really, really dark. And I'm just like, I'm sorry guys, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, I passed all my Spanish classes. Don't get me wrong. I passed them. I don't know how I did it. I can write it. I just can't speak it. So
that's bizarre.
Yeah.
Silver Cash liked my tune-up comment. You gotta be tactful about it, man. It can't just come out and just go right to it. That's not appropriate.
Start slaying people, you'll offend people left and right.
Yeah.
It's okay. I mean, there's some models where they're like, they put it all out there. Like me, some of those pictures that I take, I literally post them as soon as I take them. And it's like, I got to stop that bad habit. But, with some of them, you question a lot.
Well, and some of them are pretty revealing.
Yeah.
You've got a few, like I had to scroll through a couple kind of quick because I'll get demonetized immediately.
My famous one of me and Tiki, yeah. There's one of me and Tiki, and then that one was actually like a surprise photo.
Is that the one that's just shoulders down? It's kind of like a dark scene.
No, not the shoulders down. It's actually the one like I'm pretty much like there's the light that's reflecting. It's trying to show most of my muscle. And then the snake, she's actually wrapped up on my arm and she's going up my arm.
I'm not totally creeping your Instagram right now.
It's okay. I'm looking at mine at the same time.
Oh yeah, same picture I was thinking of. Okay.
Yep. So that one was actually like I guess you could say like a spur of the moment type deal. I was like, hey, I've always wanted to do something with a snake. But Tikers, of course, isn't big enough, and I've always wanted to do something with like either a berm or even a bigger retic would be nice, but there's always that too. But something probably a little bit more modest nowadays.
that one is dancing a dangerously fine line with community standards. Like
pretty much. But what's funny is that you'll get banned on TikTok, but you won't get banned on Instagram.
Yeah, isn't that weird how that works?
But Instagram has some dark holes, man. You'll be up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and there's some pages where I'm like, I'm going through hashtags and everything. I'm like, man, they got away with the
shit. Yeah.
But
yeah. There's this girl on Instagram that I've seen that she's a cosplayer or YouTuber. So she's got a bazillion followers or whatever, and
right.
Some of her recent photos have been like they don't leave anything to the imagination. Like she'll be wearing a bikini in the pool or whatever, but the bikini's completely sheer. Like there's no getting around what's going on, but she's wearing something so Instagram lets it stand. I'm like, good Lord, like that's not.
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about that. So do you have a quote unquote real job?
At the moment, no. I haven't really need to. When I worked at home base and whenever I was doing whatever I was doing, I saved so much money because I don't know if everybody knew, but I lived in a bumper pull trailer. I lived in a camper and I lived out at the RV resort. And I was going to ask you
about that because a bunch of your pictures are in what looks like a fifth wheel.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's not a fifth wheel, but it's a bumper pull. But yeah, no, my dad has I was like, my fifth wheel. Oh, my dad's fifth wheel. My dad has one. And my aunt has an RV. So we're all like a big camper family.
Okay.
So, I mean, just like we live a really humble life. And, it was nice living in a house for a little while. And then all of a sudden, like, my dad was like, hey, you got to find somewhere to live, fool. And I was like, okay. I was like, all right, well, let's go look at some trailers because having an apartment, and plus I had these snakes, having an apartment was just not going to do. Yeah. There was just no way. And knowing me and how independent I am, I'm not going to listen. I don't want to listen to nobody. I don't want anybody to tell me what I can and can't do on where I'm paying rent. Like, I don't want to do that. And I don't think anybody does, So that's why we're trying to get out of this rent house. But I mean, just like having a trailer was a lot better living than I would have to say having an apartment or a lease, I guess you could say. So, I mean,
sounds like you need a tiny home.
Right. But, I could have a bonfire any night. I could, have s'mores, make a brisket. That's what I mostly did. I was mostly like smoking meats, like brisket, ribs, cooking for everybody in the campground. It's like your own little community that you already have.
All right. So I'm just going to move down by you then. Because sounds like you're the place to be.
You should. Well, you're living up there where my grandma's at, so you're close to family.
It'd be great if it wasn't 108 freaking degrees up here. It's just gross.
I think it's like 102 down here.
It was 108 yesterday. That is disgusting in Montana. That's crazy. That is not what we moved up here for.
Right.
Like, come on. I'm used to that in Northern California. That is not normal up here. And of course there's 70 freaking fires in the west half of the state. So the air quality is just awful,
Oh yeah.
It's just it's been a brutal summer already, but I wanted to get down to Dallas bad. For my job, DFW is like one of the holy grails. And I liked that. I liked that idea. I'm a big city kid. Let me rephrase it. I'm a big city kid that likes having access to the big city. Right. I hate being in the city.
Yeah, I think everybody does.
Yeah, I like having room, but the big city here is, I mean, the next one's Denver. It's 8 hours, you know? Yeah. And so the idea of living out like on the Fort Worth side, Arlington, whatever, being able to get a little bit of room, a little bit of property, but still having access to the big city was really appealing to me. But we decided it doesn't really make sense for anything other than it being a cool place to work, easy to travel out of, and I'd make a lot of money there. That's about it. So we're actually going towards Kansas City area instead. Nice. For the same reason. I mean, you still get the big city. It's not as big, but it's definitely more than I got here. Especially on the Kansas side, man, we can get all kinds of room.
Yeah.
And where I would go in particular is about 35 minutes south of Kansas City on the Kansas side anyway. So, you know.
What are you doing?
And it still keeps me, the other one I got to think about is obviously the snake stuff. Like, I have zero access to shows up here.
Really?
And so in Denver or Dallas, I was like, that's ball python central, right? You know, like you could go to a show every weekend for 9 months out of the year without even thinking about it. But, you know, this isn't my main focus. It's not my number one thing. So Kansas City's still going to offer us plenty of opportunity. And it's only, 6 or 8 hours down your way. And
yeah,
not that it's only 8 hours to Chicago. And so it kind of centralizes us for all the big shows, really.
Yeah. And that's where you want to be so that you're able to make all the shows. I know it's not hard for me to make all the shows, but it's just having to find that time because there's moments where you're like, all right, we got to pay bills this month. Can't go. I'll go this month.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but I-35 can get you basically anywhere. It takes you right straight down to Houston. It takes you you cut off and you go down, what's that back highway that's back there? Somewhere in the Mineral Wells area and just go straight down. It will take you straight to San Antonio and just easy access from back and forth. Yeah. So
along those lines, I don't want Silvercash to think I ignored him because he's by far our best super chatter. He wanted to know what's your favorite expo because you are like the expo queen. So
I would have to say Arlington. I love Arlington.
You're just a homer.
No, actually, I've been trying to get down to Houston and Corpus Christi area. I've been really, really trying, but something always has to come up. But no, the Arlington show, it had a lot of different varieties of what was there, and it seemed like I got to meet more people there than I did at other expos, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I could get that because it seems like
it's a hot spot as far as I know.
And from seeing it from the outside, because I've still never been able to make an Arlington or a Tinley, that is going to change next year.
Tinley is good too. Tinley I like. And what I've heard is that there's a bunch of retics. That's just big retic valley in that area.
That's Garrett's show for sure.
Yeah.
He comes in a big way to Tinley.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, March Tinley is kind of a little bit deader, quieter show because a lot of us don't have stuff that early in the season to sell anyway. October Tinley is like the pilgrimage to Mecca, realistically. But the Arlington shows seem to be the more, like you're saying, the more hang out, go to the party afterwards, kind of like it's more of an experience than it is a business trip. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'd have to say when we went to Louisiana, I mean it was nice. I loved that. Was before the restrictions on the big snakes, though.
Yeah. And
so now, since of that, I mean, not a lot of the vendors that I would go with, I mean, they don't really go. Now, Bart, he would go up there and, sell frozen rats and stuff like that. Like that, of course, you're going to make money with frozen rats no matter what. So that was helpful. But at the same time, like he could get like big girls out there.
You got to get up here to some of the Denver shows. That's a pretty decent big snake show too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm willing to travel. Like, I've been wanting to travel, and I've been wanting to go to multiple different shows, especially out of state, because all it's been is just Texas.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you got enough of them, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that guy. I can't remember the guy's name. His business name is Soren Snakes.
That's Bart.
Yeah,
yep, that's Bart.
Isn't he the guy that got tagged in the face by a big snake? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I met him right after that happened at a Denver show.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's my buddy. He's my best friend.
That's so funny. I didn't realize. And we've had excuse me.
You're good.
Why can't I think of his name? From Lubbock. I've got his freaking t-shirt in my closet.
Don't you hate that?
yeah, I do. Oh God, it's a 3-letter initial. It's his name. I can't. Well, he's gonna kill me now. Anyway, but we've had some Texas vendors come all the way up to Denver, which is kind of cool. But I didn't realize that was the same guy you were talking about with the sword snakes. That's funny.
Yep.
Colorado Coldbloods. My buddy Corey says, yeah, Denver is his home turf. So.
Right. Well, I've been to Denver. Actually, my aunt lived there actually, and so I just never knew that anybody really reptile wise was close to that area either.
I wanted to address Cuddle Time Critters asked what area in the KC area, and if we get down there, it's going to be in the Olathe area more than anything, because that's where work is for me. I'm just kind of pacing through the comments, make sure I didn't miss anything.
You're good.
Jason Greening wanted to know what you're drinking. Can I take a guess?
Can you guess?
Is it sweet tea?
Absolutely not.
You went way southern on us there. Gee. It might as well have been sweet tea.
No, I've got some sweet tea in the refrigerator, but no. Nope, that would be Jack and Coke, my bro.
Oh, that's the next best guess. You're just one of the guys.
Mm-hmm.
One of the guys kind of chicks. That's
always been.
Although I'm not I will be honest with you. We had Jack at my wedding just because it was relatively inexpensive to buy lots of.
Right.
Because my tastes are a little pricier than that, and I was not going to feed that.
These ungrateful sons of bitches.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Right. I'm not actually a huge Jack fan, in all honesty with you.
Really?
I'm more of an Irish whiskey fan than a Tennessee whiskey fan, to be fair. So
that's honest,
my go-to is Jameson. Always has been. I like Jameson and ginger ale, or Jameson ginger. And the Jameson ginger is kind of a poor man's deconstructed version of a drink that I learned how to make called a cognac iced tea.
Mm-hmm.
That uses Remy Martin cognac. So, I mean, that's where I want to be at Remy level, and I have to drink Jameson because I can't afford Remy level. I do have a bottle of Remy in my closet, but I don't drink it because it's expensive, But
gotta put a padlock on that one.
Yeah, it's funny. He's not in here tonight that I can tell, but a couple weeks ago we had on Jim Holt from I can't think of the name. Fox Valley Reptiles. They're in Illinois, and I think you and Jim would get along great too. Because again, I picked up on the fact that he and I are on the same page in every regard. But Jim's an older dude, so we got talking to him afterwards about that, and he goes and hangs out at the VFW. He's an old war guy, and the whole 9 yards. And I told him, I said, we found out that he likes Jameson and whiskey and whatnot. I was like, have you ever had a Brooklyn hooker? And I was like, no, Jim, not an actual hooker in Brooklyn. I said, it's a drink, a Brooklyn hooker. It's a shot of it's traditionally Irish whiskey. I mean, you could use Jack if you wanted to, but it's a shot of traditionally Irish whiskey, chased immediately by a shot of dill pickle juice.
Yeah.
Everybody out in the normal people world calls it a pickleback, but pickleback just means using a pickle shot as a chaser with anything.
Yeah,
the Brooklyn
like
Hooker.
Bite.
Yeah, the Brooklyn Hooker is specifically with Irish whiskey, and I was like, I see you, Kendra. It's not called a pickleback. She commented on my post about that too. It's not called a pickleback. Is just the chaser, regardless of the alcohol. But Jim posted he went that Saturday to the VFW and tried the Brooklyn Hooker and was blown away at how good it was, and commented and tagged me in it. I was like, that's so funny. I'm now convincing people to try new alcohol. Like, that's good times.
Right. No, I was usually passed out in the middle of the field after drinking some Fireball and shit.
Oh, no, we're done. No.
That was back in the day.
Back in the day, you were only old enough to drink last week.
Well, there's some changes around here.
You just told us you're 22. Like, you're just a baby in this game.
It feels like back in the day. I've been through some shit.
I was just saying, well, to be fair, raised in Texas and on the farm in a trailer, whatever. You're a lot older than I am. Like,
it feels like a lot. It feels like a lot of years and a lot of toxic relationships. You're like, damn, I've been through it all. After a while, but.
But Fireball, you're such a hipster.
No, so it's okay.
That is the most Gen Z thing you could have said.
Okay, look, they were shots. Anyways,
are you actually young enough to be Gen Z, or are you a millennial? Do you know?
I think it would be millennial.
You were born in 99?
98.
Oh my God.
Your math is horrible.
Oh, 98. I was in.
Were you a junior?
I was in like third grade in 98. Like, I remember where I was for 9/11. You weren't even old enough to know what 9/11 was.
I watched it on a TV deal. What the hell are you talking about? We had TVs with the backs on them.
With the backs.
They weren't flat screen.
With the backs on them. That's hilarious. There's actually probably people watching this that don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, no. They were dinosaur TVs. And every single time you turn it on, but you didn't turn on a certain deal, you had to take the little fuse out because you blow the fuse.
You are actually, according to this, you are actually Gen Z.
Oh, fuck.
According to Google, millennial range is from 81 to 97, which means Gen Z would be starting in 98.
No, when did
this one says 81 to 96. So, yeah.
Well, when does it start? Well, when does it start for millennials? I'm tired of people calling me a millennial.
1981 to 1996 or 7, depending on who you ask.
Oh, okay.
So I'm squarely a millennial, even though I hate being identified as a millennial, because that millennial is being used as in like a negative connotation, saying you're a 30-year-old that still lives in your mom's basement that doesn't, collects unemployment or whatever. Like,
you dating Karen?
Yeah, that's certainly not me. So
yeah,
you're Gen Z. You're the next wave. Oh, that's terrible. That's why you like Fireball. What can I say?
Well, it started off with
actually, Fireball is not a millennial or Gen Z thing. It is a amateur alcoholic kind of thing. Like, it's that is in freaking White Claws. That's just how you start getting drunk when you're just old enough to try. Like,
it sucked really bad because I always partied, or I was always with older people, so I never got caught. But at the same time, I was just like, okay, but Miller Lite all the way. It went from Miller Lite to a couple shots of tequila, and then it went to Jack and Coke, and then Fireball. Just for some reason, the Fireball tasted like soda. So
it's so gross, though.
And it is gross, but the only way I could drink it was to be fucked up.
That's fair. I remember when I was in college, I pledged the sorority, there. That was a Freudian slip. We actually had a sister sorority, and they were awesome. But I pledged one of the frats that was this is like the nerdiest thing ever. Like the SIGEP at UND is the pilot frat. Like literally 90% of their brothers are pilots. Because that's what we're all at school for anyway, right? Which I gotta say, it was actually kind of cool because we all knew what we were risking. You know, we weren't risking getting an MIP or, you know, a slap on the wrist from the dean or whatever. Like, you were risking your pilot's license and all of the training you had been through. Like, it was no joke. So it was kind of a safe haven, you know what I mean? But I hadn't gotten my bid yet. They had me come over after orientation. I partied with them a couple times, and they kept inviting me back and, you know, doing the whole, you know, feeling me out thing and whatever. And homecoming had come around, and they wanted me. So they did a big homecoming dance, like party with our sister sorority at a golf course place or whatever, and then came back to the house and hung out. And I got just fucking hammered because that's what they do to their brothers, right? Yeah. And they so they told me, so like I stumbled my ass out of the house at like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, whatever, going back to the dorm. And I remember the guy saying, the president of the house, of the chapter, it's like, you're going to be here for the parade in the morning, right? The homecoming parade. We're in it. I was like, yeah, of course I'll be here. You know, he's like, you need to be at this front door by 7:30. I'm like, I'll be here. He's like, you ain't coming back, right? Just like, I ain't going to see you till next week, right? By God, I drug my ass down there and was there at 7:30. And you know what they greeted me with? Because you're not hungover at that. You're just not done being drunk, right?
A fucking beer.
Yeah. They handed me 2 Bud Light Limes. I literally put them in my pockets, and they said that it was a house tradition for the start, right before we went out on the parade float or whatever. It was a house tradition to everybody had a Yeg Bomb breakfast. And I was like, I fucking hate Jaeger. Oh my God. Like, Jaeger is bottom. That is as bad as it gets. As far
that
as like,
smell that makes you want to throw up.
And so they lined up all of the freaking Jaeger so that everybody could do their Jaeger shot before we went in the thing or whatever. And it was everything I could do to put it down. And then I chased it. You talk about a pickleback. I did a Bud Light Lime back. I was like, I just took the whole Bud Light Lime after it and checked them, put a second one back in my pocket, and I climbed up into the back of the truck and got to work, right? That was so great. And my stomach, it was awful. It felt so bad. And I'm trying to stand in the bed of a pickup truck towing a trailer through a parade route through campus, right? My job, this is probably one of my funniest. You know what? I must be getting old is what it is, but I don't typically like people like, oh, dude, I was so hammered at the bar on Saturday. You should have seen me. I was a wreck. Like, you just sound like an idiot, right? Like, who cares? You know what I mean? But this is probably one of my favorite drunk people stories that happened to me. So my job in the parade float was to stand in the back of this truck with a big bag of green confetti and throw it at people. Like I was passing out confetti, green confetti for UND, right? So that was what I was doing. I couldn't see where I was throwing it, but it was having fun. We get done and we get back to the dorm, and there were these 2 girls that lived directly below me in the dorm, 1 floor below me. And one of the roommates was pledging our sister sorority. So she was on the float with us. Actually, they both were, because Megan brought her roommate with her. So they were both on the float with us during the parade, and they had done like full body paint and green and silver paint and the whole 9 yards. And so we got back, and I went in up to my place and changed, and I walked downstairs, and I just bust in their door. I basically lived there, so I just kicked in the door to see how they were doing, because I knew that Megan's family was coming to town for homecoming weekend to visit and say hi or whatever, So I bust in and see how everybody's doing, and Megan's roommate's in the shower trying to get rid of all the green paint and crap, and Megan's trying to get the room cleaned up before her parents show up, and me and my dumbass walks in. I still have this bag of confetti in my like sweater pocket, right? I walk in with this bag of confetti and dump it over the top of the shower curtain, right on the top of Megan's roommate's head while she was trying to shower. And so now she's got green body paint and freaking confetti everywhere. Right?
That sucks.
It was so mean, but I laugh about it to this day. It was so much fun. And then I met Megan's parents for the first time, absolutely hammered still. You know, it was like,
hey guys,
yeah.
2 sips in.
it obviously didn't piss them off too much because we all went a few weeks later down to Megan's parents' place down in Minnesota. It was me and 6 of the girls, like,
yeah,
just on a road trip. But God, it's like, it's Petey's Reptile says I've got a hell of a good drunk story. We all do. Everybody, like I said, I hate the people that you talk to all the time. Like, oh yeah, I missed work on Monday because I was just so hammered from the weekend. Like, I don't care to hear you were drunk yesterday. Like, but everybody has that good story. You know what I mean?
Mine was definitely when I went to Topless weekend. So I don't know if you know what Topless weekend is, but it's like Jeep weekend, but ends up being side-by-side weekend. And yeah, no, I was so messed up during that whole entire time. I was there from...
So wait. Explain this Topless weekend idea.
So Topless weekend is basically like, it's supposed to be Jeep weekend because, you know, tops off, you're out at the beach and everything.
Sure.
On a PG version.
Yeah.
But anyways, the rated R version is definitely what you're thinking. Beads and all. It's like Mardi Gras on a beach.
Solid.
And it actually ended up getting banned at one point. They talked about it, but, you know, that's how the locals made their business, was that people would come in and literally like party it up from Thursday all the way till Sunday. And it was crazy. I was so messed up, like from that Thursday night all the way to like Saturday morning. When I'm telling you, when I got up on Saturday morning, I was so messed up that night and the nights before, when somebody put a Miller Lite in front of me, and I love Miller Lite. They slammed that in front of me. I was like, get that crap away from me. I was like, oh, hell no. It was bad. And, you know, like, okay, I do have a funny one, because during that time we had a couple buddies that had come down. You know, we're at the beach house and everything. And one of them had actually showed up really late. And he was supposed to be there like the day before, right? Well, he comes bebopping in. I'm the night before, somehow, some way, I took like a topless picture with a young black kid, and he was the happiest he could ever be. And his dad was happy for him because he was gay, but he was the sweetest boy.
He wasn't in that moment.
But his dad was just like, if you take a picture with my son topless and tell him he's like amazing and all this kind of stuff, I'll give you like 4 jars of moonshine. I was like, bet. Because drunk me is like, I could do that all day long. And so, note to self, that happened the night before. We get up the next day, you know, we're back out doing the same thing. We're watching the side-by-sides go. And we see like a big group of girls, nice, attractive girls that want to come over and party and everything. You know, like we had filled the cooler because I like Corona. I love Corona. And so we filled it up with that. We filled it up with Miller, Jello shots, my 2 moonshine deals. And yeah, there was lemon pie moonshine and there was apple pie moonshine.
Oh, jeez.
Now, the apple pie moonshine was not the original apple pie moonshine that I've had before, but it was withstandable. You could possibly start a fire if you were to breathe, but it was okay. And so this dude, I can't even remember his name because I was so mad at him. But like, you know, the group of girls comes over. He's like, hey, does everybody want a shot? during the time, I did not know what he was grabbing out of the damn cooler, especially out of my damn cooler. And so he opens the lid and everything, and the next thing like my buddy's like tapping me, and he's like, "Is that yours?" And he's got my jars of moonshine. And I was like, this fool is insane. And he's giving shots to these girls. And I was like, no, we're not having this today. So I run over there and I'm like, that's not yours, that's mine. And I drank both jars of moonshine within 2 minutes.
Oh my God.
And so
gross.
It was only like a matter of like maybe not even 5-10 minutes that I started feeling like, oh man, that was a wrong decision. I should have just hit it in the truck. In that moment, I was just like, wow, this really sucks. Like I remember being laid out on the beach. I had my clothes on. I was laid out on the beach, and my world was like whoosh, whoosh, and I was just like, wow, I did that to myself. Somehow I ended up back at the beach house. I don't remember how. And I was in the bathtub. And for some reason, every single time, I don't know if this is everybody else, but every single time I throw up, I know it has to be inside the toilet. Every time. Doesn't matter where I'm at. I'm always afraid to throw up somewhere and I'm going to offend somebody. So I'm like, it's got to be the toilet. Even being so messed up and being inside a bathtub and I'm trying to feel better, I still shot up out of that bathtub and had to go across the beach house to another bathroom because that toilet was broken and throw up in that toilet. And the guys were like telling me, they were just like, dude, we've never seen somebody move so fast and throw up so fast. And I was just like, well, it is what it is. I mean, as long as we all had a good time, but man, I had a really good time. So
I've only ever been carried out of a place once.
No,
that was at that same fraternity for Halloween. Because smart guy me, you'll love this. So Halloween, the first year I'm at school, I'm actually in the fraternity at this point, and I had met this girl. I don't think she went to any of the other sororities, but I met her somewhere, and I was like, hey, we're doing a Halloween party at the house. You know, why don't you come over as my guest, whatever, right? Super cute girl. I'm like, all right, cool. Like I'm on home plate here. I just bring it my way. So smart guy me, being kind of a pain in the ass, I showed up to the costume party as I was riding one of the inflatable ostriches. You know, you guys, let's see, looks like the dude sitting on the back, right?
Yeah.
So I was riding an ostrich, and I had bought an Obama mask. And so I was wearing an Obama mask, riding an ostrich, with a shirt that said, I'm with stupid, and the arrow pointing up.
Yourself.
So, because I'm, you know, I like to poke the bear, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So back in the day, so to speak, literally back in the day for me, my thing in college, my thing to drink was Sky vodka and tonic. Because Sky vodka was super cheap, but not disgusting. And tonic water you can get anywhere. Well, interestingly enough, tonic water glows under a black light. Didn't know that. That was a nifty fact I learned. But I had so we had this rule in the house. We called it a 360 rule. And to walk or to be in any of, so it was like 3 stories or whatever, you could not be on the main floor with open container alcohol at all. That was a house rule. And if you were in the basement, you could be in the basement. That was fine. But if you were outside or in any of the common areas, so any of the hallways or like in the center of the basement around the pool table, not in any of the rooms or whatever, you had to be able to take your drink and turn it upside down. And turn it upside down and not spill it. That was the 360. I thought it was empty. That was the 360 rule.
If you failed.
If you could not turn it upside down, you could not be in the common area with it. And so what that actually did for us was it kept the house really super clean and tidy. Because we didn't have people out, in front of the house throwing cans at each other and shit like that. And the other benefit was if University PD ever showed up and knocked on the door, all we had to do was close all of the bedroom doors, because if you couldn't turn your drink upside down, you couldn't be in the common areas anyway. You were in one of the rooms. Mm-hmm. All you do is just close the doors, because they can walk through the main parts of the house, but they have to have an individual search warrant to go into any of the individual rooms.
Oh, wow.
So it protects everybody against minors and, all that crap, right? So it's actually, that's why everybody came to the house to party with us, because it was clean and everybody knew that they were safe. So I knew this. So when I showed up at the party, I had used one of those like Camelback bottles or whatever to make my vodka and tonic, so that I could turn it upside down. I could walk throughout the house with it or whatever. It was totally, totally safe. Problem was, I didn't register the fact that I was never, while I was drinking constantly out of that, and that thing was, it's got that much freaking vodka in it. It's like, what I didn't realize is while I was drinking, I was never getting any fresh air because I was wearing this rubber mask. Mm-hmm. So I would drink, I would exhale alcohol and then inhale it right back. So it's just like a constant recirculation. And I had like 2 of those. I think I had refilled it in one of my brother's rooms. And that was like the last thing I remembered.
Oh, wow.
Until I woke up around the toilet on the 3rd floor, and they had already taken me out of my costume, which was nice, so I didn't throw up all over it. And then
I woke up, costume.
Yeah, and then I woke up around the toilet on the 1st floor, and then I woke up on the couch the next morning. I've literally never been. They carried me downstairs. And come to find out, this girl's name was Kim. Come to find out, I had passed Kim in the hallway in one of these periods of them trying to carry me downstairs. She had come to show up. I was told she was in a bumblebee costume. I could not vouch for that to save my life. I have zero recollection of ever speaking to her.
Oh, wow.
I was like, talk about, Delmar says party foul. And no doubt, it's like, that was dumb. That was easily the most far gone I've ever been.
Wow.
I don't play hard anymore. I'm too freaking old for that crap, and I don't recover like I used to. So I can't play like that anymore.
Yeah, I completely understand that. Yeah, no, it's been a really long time since I've been like hammered. Probably since March. March was like my last time, because we went to New York, and like this was like the first time Matt's family has ever like met me, and they quickly learned that I can drink. Because everybody they had like an espresso shot, and there was like some kind of orange drink, but like nobody liked them, and I was just like, this shit's so good. Just drinking it.
So let's go there, because observant me has noticed that you're wearing a ring. Mm-hmm. So you're recently engaged, is that correct?
Well, when I was pregnant, we were planning on getting married. We actually had the paperwork and everything, but I had a miscarriage, and probably one of the worst experiences that I've ever had in my life. So it's just kind of stuck. And I mean, like we plan on getting married. It's just part of getting to the whole land and property issue. But
was that somewhat recently?
That was actually at the end of March. I ended up finding out that I was 3 or 4 weeks pregnant. Yeah. And then at 9 weeks, there was no heartbeat. They found that out, and that was like crushing.
That's what ours was. I mean, I have a paper airplane that's colored in like watercolor, so it's not colored inside the lines in rainbow, because my daughter is actually the second.
I mean, yeah.
So I obviously can't speak to the emotion and the hormones and the feeling in that regard, because there's no way I could ever know what that's like. But I've been through it from the guy's perspective, so I get it.
Yeah, and for me and Matt, I mean, it was something that we've always wanted, and he's always wanted kids, and it was really rough. And especially for me, like, you know, I saw all my friends having kids, and to me, I wanted, you know, I was just like, I'm healthy. Like, what's wrong with me? Is there something wrong with me?
Yep. Yep.
And in all honesty, it just happens. There's
Yeah.
nothing that you can prevent it to happen. There's nothing that you can do to just like that. To me, they told me at first they were like genetics and then blood connection from the mother and then the baby. I was like, just tell me, am I imperfect? Just go ahead.
Because I've been perfect my entire life.
But I'm okay with imperfect. But I was just like, just freaking tell me the truth.
Yeah.
At that point, because it was just like a huge emotional like toll, and I feel for anybody who goes through a miscarriage, but it seemed like my miscarriage, it just never ended.
Yeah.
And it still hasn't ended. Like my
Of
health was
course.
so bad, and my like I couldn't believe some of the stuff that I was seeing.
Well,
Like we all have seen some nasty stuff from our snakes and come out of
yeah.
our snakes, and so I think we can understand like seeing what came out of me was not okay. It didn't register through the brain of like what the this is okay.
Well, and that's I mean, however you believe spiritually, whatever. I'll use God as the overarching here, but
Yeah.
that's like a just a sick trick, and it's an unfair thing that God plays on the women, because you find out that you're not going to be able to carry your baby to term, and
Mm-hmm.
that's devastating news. And then you've got a week or more of the process of actually passing that whole setup, and it's like that's just cruel. Like,
Oh yeah, and it's terrible if you don't have the right medications either. If you don't have
yeah,
like I had to be on muscle relaxers, and I had to have all kinds of stuff. Like I didn't do a
yep,
DNC. I went through it just naturally, and that was probably like the worst decision I ever did. I probably should have done a DNC, but I didn't want them to cut open my cervix and then go in and then do
we
everything that they needed to do.
we didn't either for the same reason.
But it was just one thing after another. And then just recently, so recently I was in the hospital. um Actually, this happened in the truck. We were heading to the OBGYN to go get, you know, my blood tested and to see what was going on, to see if my levels were okay, because they told us to come back once everything had passed. And like just as we had passed the hospital, all of a sudden, like I felt like this warm rush of whatever. And it was like, oh my God. Like I looked over at Matt because he was the one who was driving at the time. I looked over at him and I said, oh shit. And he's like, what? And I start, you know, I got my hands down there and I'm trying to grab, you know, there's a big roll of toilet paper in the back seat. I grabbed that and I just fill the whole seat with blood
Oh,
from
gee.
out of nowhere. This is now what, 3 weeks, three
Yeah,
weeks or so after the whole entire deal has happened. And I'm like, no, I don't want to go to the hospital. And he's like, no, you're going to the hospital. And so
fuck yeah.
I was like, no. Like there's like a part of me that's like, no, we can go home. I can just patch this up with some duct tape. Like like there was a huge part of me that was just like, no, I don't like hospitals. I don't like needles. I don't like none of that stuff. No
This
needles
is
for
what
me.
super glue is for, and dirt.
Yeah, super glue, dirt, and duct tape. And yeah, no, it was horrible. And then he told me that I had passed out. I had a seizure in the front seat. And he was like, yeah, by that moment, you're going to the hospital. I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to the hospital. It
yeah.
just
I remember
sucked.
reading your post about that. I was like, shit, that kind of came out of left field, and
It did. It came out of nowhere, and
yeah,
no, like we weren't expecting it. I wasn't expecting it, but I was just like, man. And then the doctor, you know, he had come back and he told me there's nothing wrong with you. Your levels are fine. Just whatever was there, just, you know, passed, and there's really nothing we can do for you. And I was just like, what the hell are you talking about? I just like produced like a whole bucket of blood that I haven't even had during this whole entire time, and it just spewed out of me. What the
yeah,
hell?
yeah.
So So the female body, I'm still learning to this day of like what the fuck's going on.
I was gonna say, Greg in the comments says it just goes to show how strong women are. Like what you can put the female body through is just insane. Like, you know, we talk about men being, you know, tough and able to, you know, high pain tolerance or whatever, but physically, and now that we've had a baby and we got another on the way, and seeing like the post-delivery care that my wife had to go through and whatnot, and I was like, fuck, that's so barbaric sometimes. Like what they have to do after the fact, like that's just brutal, you know, and the body bounces back and recovers and says, all right, it's time, let's go again. You know, it's like, we're ready. And like,
it makes you wonder, what did they do like in the 1800s?
Yeah.
Like what did they really have to do? And then you see some of those instruments and those tools and you're just like, oh, I'll pass. I would rather go through the Holocaust than do that shit.
Yeah. You know, it was tough. I mean, obviously it was really hard on her, understandably.
Emotionally, it's just not okay.
It's not, there's no right time to go through that, but the first is, I mean, that's as bad as it gets. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And so, and I literally, I called my dad because there's no denying I am a carbon copy of my dad. Mm-hmm. You know, and he's a very old school, hard-headed. Yeah, it doesn't matter if it hurts, put your boots back on, go back to work. We're fixers. You know what I mean? That's just how we're wired. And we put our feelings aside, and someday we're probably going to have an aneurysm because I just don't address it. You know, I don't have feelings. I'm fine. Leave me alone. You know, it's like,
right.
But I called him. I said, I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm so at a loss right now because, I mean, I was like, you know better than anybody. I'm a fixer. I fix the problem. There's a problem. I'm going to fix it. We're going to move on.
Yeah.
And I can't fix this. And he's like, you're right. And you need to tell her that. And you need to just be there. And I literally went to my wife. I was like, look, I have zero way of comprehending what you are going through. Mm-hmm. And you know that I try to just fix the problem and move on. And I don't have emotion to it. Don't feel like I'm being hardened to it and I have no soul because I am not crying over this. I'm trying to triage the problem, to use a medical term, and move forward. You are going to have to tell me every step of the way what you need because I can't solve this one, you know? And that was a weird place for me to be in, you know, but you know, now my daughter will be a year old next month, and a little guy will be here in the end of October, and it's like it's been a weird couple of years. It's been a rocky road for sure, but you know, it's all for some kind of reason. You know what I mean? Like I personally am not a spiritual person. I don't follow or ascribe to any kind of organized religion or anything like that.
Right.
But I do absolutely believe everything happens for a reason.
Oh yeah,
and
for sure.
That could have been, you know, maybe the universe recognizes, because we've talked about it, that you don't really get a choice, obviously, but we're not cut out to facilitate like a special needs child or something. You know what I mean?
Right. And that was,
I'm not wired for that. And we thought like maybe this was her body recognizing that something wasn't quite right. Like when one of the snakes kicks an egg out, mm-hmm. and that one doesn't hatch, or you know, it comes out kinked or whatever. I hate to attribute it to that, something that simple, but maybe that's what it was her body recognized something is not correct here, and knew that we're not capable of, you know, dealing with it. Mm-hmm. And so it addressed the problem, and we moved on, because my daughter, as far as we can tell, is perfect,
perfectly normal. Yeah. And you know, that was the biggest thing on my end, because my brother has autism. Oh. And so that was another big thing, is that, you know, I want to go through some tests and see if, like, is that a possibility, you know? But, you know, we all, I mean, my sister has had, like, she has a normal kid. So, like, knowing me, I'm like, well, maybe mine will come out normal as well, you know, and especially with two pretty dominant genes coming together, I don't think that it would be a possibility, but I would have to say it would be that too, because you never know what might happen. You never know what kind of genetics that you're going to get, because I mean, like you said, it's the same as snakes. You know, I mean, we get slugs for a reason and we get mutations for a reason, but do they make it? No. It's kind of like when you're dealing with a spider gene and spider gene, it just doesn't work out. It's going to kill itself. It crosses out completely. And so you never know. But during that time, you know, I didn't even know my own blood type. If it weren't for them taking my own blood and telling me, oh, I'm O positive, and telling me all this other stuff. And, you know, I haven't had really much of medical records anyways. Oh. But so, I mean, I never ever went to anywhere with a doctor. Yeah. So, but, you know, it told me a lot, and it made me understand a lot, and understanding from a mother's type view and somebody who hasn't had a kid just yet. And for me to tell my experience to other young girls that could possibly be going through something the same way that I am, but they don't know how to cope with it. They don't know how to react with it. And they just think that the world, like, you feel like you failed. You feel like you emotionally failed. You feel like you physically failed, and like that you're not worth it no more.
Yeah, and because the one core natural biological thing that you were built to do from the ground up didn't work. Like that's as basic as it gets in the human species. I get that feeling for sure.
And it just, you know, it takes a toll on you. You just feel like nothing. and I told Matt that. I told Matt that a lot. I was just like, I feel like I didn't do anything. Like I felt like I'd done nothing. Yeah. And it really sucked. And like, I'm pretty sure he felt the same way that you did when your wife had a miscarriage. You know, he didn't know what to do. So, you know, him asking people like, hey, like, what's this? And, you know, he experienced some of this stuff before and everything, you know, could ask every question he could possibly figure out to help me in the process. And, you know, every single day he would tell me, I want you to be okay. And it was hard.
Yeah, because you can't just say, oh, it's going to get better. Like, you know.
Yeah, it's like, put some duct tape on it.
Yeah. Did you find as well, because one of the things that amazed my wife when she finally got to the point where she could start talking to her circle about it, you know, and that kind of thing, was realizing or finding out just how many people that she knew she had no idea had also had miscarriages. Yeah. It's far more common than people let on. Like the last study I saw, something was like 1 in 4 or something like that. Mm-hmm. You know, and you realize when you finally open up, at least in her, she's gone again. Jeez. I don't know what's happening. Actually, it's about like I doesn't say about every hour, but that's not necessarily the case. She'll be back. Silver Cash, I see your super chat. I'll get to it in just a minute, boss. I appreciate it. I'll make sure I didn't miss anybody else here. Reptile Lifeline, thanks for joining in, man. It may sound like a good show, but I sound like a freight train here. Hey, you're back.
I am. I don't know what's going on. It's like my phone's like, hey, we'll have this emotional talk, and then I'm going to cut you off. Okay.
Yeah. Real serious topic. No, we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
Silver Cash came back again with another super chat. Said, awesome podcast tonight, and Montana, I'll give you a follow. So.
Thank you.
You're not going to regret
it. Lord.
Yeah. See, here's another one. Corey from Colorado Cold Blends, buddy of mine, says, my wife felt super alone with it. I had no idea that they've been through it too. You know, there's so many people in your circle that it's because it's not something you're like, hi, my name's Montana. I had a miscarriage. Like, you know, it's.
Yeah, it's like
I did work with a girl once that she's only a couple years older than you. And she literally showed up to the facility and we were all hanging out in the conference room and she literally introduced herself and says, hi, my name is so-and-so, 2 divorces and a boob job. What else do you want to know? Like, I was like, well, at least we're cards are on the table. We know what we're working with here. Got
it. How many baby daddies you got? Yeah.
Okay. She was only like 24 at the time, like 2 divorces. Okay, cool. We gotta keep her here. Like,
it happens, man. Probably using them for money.
So you're not speaking from experience here, are you?
That was back when I was like 18, 17. But then like you learn that when you work for your money, you can spend your own money and not feel bad.
you have so much grown up in a like 4-year period here that I can't keep up with.
I'm sorry. It's the steroids. No, I'm just kidding. There's not a lot of people that get that. You know, there's some people still like, you know, in their 30s and 40s, and they're still doing the same thing.
No doubt. Yeah.
Still doing the same thing, and they blame everybody else for their problems when really they are the problem.
Yeah, there's a common denominator here. You should like look inward a little bit.
Cat, I'm a beach ass. Sorry. My cat's like fucking with everything back here.
You're a cat person. I'm not.
We got 3 cats and 3 dogs.
Oh, I have a cat. We've had a few cats in our history. The first 2 were rescues, and then my wife just liked having a cat, and then I brought home another cat. I hate cats. It's like kids. I like other people's cats because I can give them back.
Yeah. Can we normalize hating our own children?
Right. Every parent has a favorite, whether they're willing to admit it or not. Like,
right. Yeah,
even if you're an only child and they say they don't have one, that should tell you something. Pretty
much.
Do you know who this Delmar Rubador is?
That would be my daddy-o. That would be my adopted dad.
Literally your dad. Because I've been reading some of his comments and no disrespect, I haven't selected them on purpose, but I was like, I've been reading some of his comments like, wait, who the fuck? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And he's like asking like, what's behind your head? Where are the snakes? Tell my daughter I said hi. I'm like, excuse me, what? You know,
that would be my daddy-o. So
well, he's in here saying hi. So
right, he's awesome.
He's hearing all of your inappropriate stories and watching me scroll through your Instagram feed.
It's
like
funny.
Some kind of creep.
Oh no, he's on there too. It's funny because when I get drunk or I get really, really drunk, he's the first person I call.
Solid.
And he'll probably comment and be like, "That's fucking true. She knows how to check in."
So back to I'm not going to pull this picture up because I will absolutely get demonetized. You have a picture on here of a tattoo running down your spine.
Yes.
You know the picture I'm talking about.
Yes.
And why I can't share it.
So that one was more like art, but at the same time, it was kind of like, fuck you bitches that told me I didn't have no cake back in the day, you know?
It's not petty at all.
It's not petty at all. But
I'm not vain in the slightest.
No, but it was kind of like something of that, but at the same time I made it fun. Like I made it like artsy kind of in a way because like I look at the human body as like just art in itself. Like tattoos in general, that's all art. To me, I won like state art competitions all throughout high school and like junior high. So like to me, art was always like an fascination. So just having that picture, it's very revealing.
Is this picture in the trailer? It actually looks
that
like
one, yeah.
Some kind of utility room.
No, it's in a shower.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a shower. But, you know, it was something that I was just playing around with, and it was just like, man, like, I really like how that turned out. We're going to post that shit.
I'm more impressed that you got that angle and that by yourself.
Yeah, by myself. That
without some funky ass like arm in the shot, you know.
Right. I didn't have no turkey hand, no turkey leg.
Or some weird reflection because it's in the mirror or something like the one next to it. But
yeah.
What does the tattoo say?
So the tattoo is actually from a quote from a Lana Del Rey song. It's "Will you still love me when I'm no longer young and beautiful?"
Oh wow!
And so there's that, and then the picture, like the little, like the mountains and the trees and the little compass that's there. I did the mountains because my name, like, as you should know, Montana means mountain in native. So I don't know if you knew that. Well, shame on you, and you living in Montana.
No, I'm not a Montana native. I'm a California kid.
But you're about to get banded out of Montana.
So is that across your shoulders then? Is that at the top?
That is, yeah, okay. That's like right there in the middle part. But yeah, that's my biggest tattoo that I have. And I was like, dude, I look like a book because like, because I have like this tattoo here.
We can show this. This won't get us in any trouble.
No, that one should be the that was when we were in New York.
This one's at least closed. But yeah, that your tattoo all the way up the spine, and then this is that mountain image you're talking about.
Yep, that's the whole compass and everything, and just like the mountains went with my name, so that's why I got that. And then just like the compass was like in a rustic image that I had in my head already, and so I really liked that. And then just the trees in general, like there's gonna be at some point I'm gonna live in cooler weather area because I miss
come here apparently.
I miss the pine trees. I really do. I miss like the smell, the crisp smell when you wake up in the morning and you're able to walk outside and you don't step in stickers. Okay. Let's be real about that.
Yeah, or rattlesnakes.
Yeah, there's no like venomous snakes up there really. There's a bunch of newts and a couple other little small like snakes and stuff that I remember when we would catch them out there at the little creek that we had behind the house. But other than that, I mean, I miss it up there. Don't get me wrong. I miss like going and seeing all like everything's decorated with bear scenes or moose and elk. And you don't get that down here unless if you go to like a really rustic country home and you see like longhorns. But I love the moose, the elk, the bears, everything. So
you have what I was going to lead into that. What other tattoos do you have then, other than your back?
So I have the back, and then I have the one that's here on my. This is actually the starting of my sleeve. It's kind of cheesy, but it says "Love Forever." But the reptiles will be on this arm, and then the dinosaur skulls will be down on this arm. And then I have another tattoo, which was the name of my first snake that I owned, my first ball python. And her name was Royal. And she was actually, Royal. And it just kind of went. I was just like, she's my only little Royal. And she was tiny whenever I had her. And she ended up, sadly, being with the collection that got heated up, basically, and killed by my ex. And she was a normal het pied, but when you're dealing with het, you just don't know. You just don't know till you prove it out. So that she was actually right at close to 900 grams, and I was just about to be like, all right, let's feed this bitch up, and then let's see if we can produce something and hopefully get pied. And that didn't happen. So one of these days.
My girl Kendra wants you to come join the Hot Girls Club up in the Pacific Northwest. She says the PNW's got all of that. The crisp air, pine trees, the smell.
That would be great. Ooh, the attraction.
Kendra's good people. I love her. She's awesome. We've had her on too. Her and her. Are you guys engaged yet? Like you're gonna paint or get off the ladder here? Like her and Jeff have been together forever. So
you should tell that to that man in there.
Yeah, man. What are you waiting for? Like
everybody wants me, man.
I can't argue with that. Like,
it's kind of, and that was always the thing. Like like I've been
always been that way. I see. Like you just.
But no, I've been cheated on in the majority of my relationships, and I'm like, it doesn't, man. Men don't care. It doesn't matter how pretty you are. You still get cheated on. Like,
it's okay. It's not funny, but what's funny about that is I heard a guy a quote once. He says, and this is a dude that just like oozes confidence. Has always been with the most beautiful women in the room, and the whole 9 yards, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he says he always told me, he's like, you show me the hottest girl in the room, and I'll show you the girl that's probably the loneliest one standing here. Because they're either the ones that, like you're saying, have been just run over and cheated on, or all the guys are too afraid to even approach her. Like, they're the ones that don't get hit on a lot. because they're like, you get to a point where you're so at the top of that echelon that like you're out of reach for everybody, so they don't even bother. Or like you're saying, you just get treated like crap because some douchebag guy thinks that, man, I scored the prize here, I can do whatever I want now. Like, that's ridiculous.
Pretty much. I mean, I was with somebody who already had a kid with someone, and like my parents were divorced, like from a very this is coming from my real dad and my real mom. They divorced multiple different times. It was like 3 times, and they just could never make it work.
Yeah.
And she cheated, there was trust issues, he was military. There's just so many different scenarios that were going on during that time. And it sucked. And then just being in a relationship with somebody who was having to co-parent. But it's funny because a dad can have a kid and do everything for the kid, like wants to be in the life for this kid, but the other parent has to be a dickwad and not allow him and the daughter to have fun sometimes. But it's hard whenever the other parent is too jealous of a situation, or they're just not okay with whatever. And I've educated kids over the years, and it just was so sad that somebody could have such jealousy and cause just chaos in a relationship. And it sucks. When somebody's happy, somebody's happy. But I'm glad that it happened, because I'm with the man who I want to be with for the rest of my life. But at the same time, like I saw that child, and I was like, wow, that was me when I was a kid. That was exactly me. So I never got jealous. I never had insecurities. I never got upset at any situation, because, I could have been one of those people that are like, why are you always meeting up with her? Why are you always having to do this? Well, then she needs to take care of the kid, not you. Like, I wasn't that person. I was just like, yeah, let's go to the zoo. Let's go to the aquarium. Let's go stick our hands in some salt water and get bit by a pufferfish. Like, like there was a bunch of different things that I was just like so positive about, and I still got shit on like multiple different times, and it didn't matter.
Yeah.
So I mean, just like it just sucked. And I mean, look at celebrities. Like celebrities get cheated on all the time.
Well, and it's tough too, because I come from a broken home a few times over as well, and you almost feel like, because that was the environment you were raised in, that you're predisposed to that being your reality when you get into your relationship too, because that's all you've known. Or like you see, this wasn't the case for me, but you see where there's abuse or verbally abusive or whatever, or like cheating, or men coming in and out of the house or whatever. And that just becomes your reality, because you don't know any different. Because as a kid, Rachel Cruz, Dave Ramsey's daughter, her famous quote is, more is caught than taught with kids. And I'm starting to see all that already, and that's kind of what we're talking about. It's like, and it sucks, because then it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're going into your own relationship with a defeatist attitude, because you don't know any different. What I mean? And then when somebody, like in your case, somebody treats you like crap, until you can see that for what it is, you're like, oh, well, this is just how it is. This is the reality, until somebody smacks you upside the head, not literally, but and says, like, you need to open your eyes, something. It's usually your girlfriends, because the saying, you're too close to the forest to see the trees kind of thing. Like, like, you're on the inside and you're too blind to it, and your girlfriends are standing on the outside like, God, this guy's a fucking douche nozzle. Like, what are we doing here? Why are we letting her see this guy, or whatever?
And that was the thing, is that I allowed it to happen. And, I didn't really believe it until like, the Apple Watch. So there's this thing, if you know their password, you can see their messages. Anyways, I took screenshots of what was on his Apple Watch during the whole entire time of being with me. He was also playing her. And it became like, I'm comprehending what's going on. No wonder she wants to get you for child support. You're making her out to be the bad guy when really she's probably the good guy.
Oh, jeez.
So it was just a whole different mess of emotions. And it was like, you know what? I don't deserve this and I don't need to be with this. And so I just, Matt finally pulled me out of that. And it was something that I emotionally had to do too, because, I had to cut off all emotion. I deleted every picture, every video, every little bits of memory that I could even get rid of. It gone, just gone. I had to. It was what I had to do, and it's what everybody should do if you ever get into that situation and you just don't want to see them no more. Just don't do it. Just delete everything that you have. So.
Yeah, your dad said I asked her if she wanted me to kick his ass and she wouldn't let me.
Well, after the fact of having to deal with that, yeah, I kind of wish he did. It's funny because that person was actually really scared of him. Jeez. Like really scared of my dad.
Is that the same guy that cooked your collection? It's all the same dude?
No, not the same dude. No, this dude was a much different person, but it seemed like the older men that I was with, they just didn't have their shit together. They didn't have nothing together, and it was just sad. It was just like, man, like.
Well, as we've determined, you're the oldest 22-year-old I know, so.
I try.
All right. Well, we're getting longer here than I thought we would. It's awesome. Going into these, you never know. You know what I mean? It's like I've gone into a couple of them, and it's like pulling teeth trying to drag an hour out of them.
That sucks.
And it's uncomfortable, and I feel bad. It's like I don't want to end this like all short. Everybody else gets 2 hours, but you're boring.
You're like a starfish.
I want to give you an opportunity though to kind of plug your world. Mm-hmm. And talk about, in whatever fashion you choose, this 1776, the holsters, the knives, whatever you feel comfortable talking about.
So that actually was just like,
that didn't work.
That was something that like just happened. He messaged me and reached out to me and wanted me to, promote and show off what I could do. And that's pretty much what I've been doing. And just happened to, it's funny because I'm a rifle person. I'm a big rifle person. That's all I grew up with. And so switching over to a handgun is just kind of like, I'm learning it every little bit of the way. I mean, I was very familiar with it considering that my ex-fiance's dad did teach me a lot of like the shooting, the handling, and like, drawing your gun and stuff like that. So I'm very familiar with the handguns, but it's just not something that I guess you could say that I'm not perfected yet. Okay. So, but I love it. I love shooting them. And, like Matt took me out the other day and we shot a couple guns and everything. And then at the very end, shot a handgun that I really, really liked and probably going to get at some point. But it's definitely those pages are definitely, I would have to say, my go-to pages for sure. And I mean, the knives, I use that knife for literally everything. Like I
told you which one I wanted. That one, was awesome.
Mm-hmm. And it's so quick and easy. Like I can't believe how fast it is. And my dad wants one. And I'm like, damn, Dad, I'm gonna get you one. Like, calm down.
Yeah, you'll have to keep me posted on that because I'm see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, this one, because I'm an aviation buff. I grew up in a pilot family. I work in aviation and whatnot, and so, this one I was all about with the nose art and everything. It's so cool.
Yeah, and I love that one too, for sure. Let me plug in my phone. It's dying. But yeah, no, that one, I really like that one too, because like I said, my dad's like an Apache pilot. And then seeing all the other like aircraft out there, I like the old stuff too. So
yeah. And am I correct in saying that the chick that runs this company also does those holsters? The same lady?
That is actually I ended up sharing their deal on my Facebook actually. And yeah, apparently they are linked, and it's actually quite nice because I saw their sponsor ad and everything, and I was like, oh man, I know those people. Like I work alongside those people.
Yeah.
So a lot of the designs really come from that part of it. Let me see. Hopefully I can still hear you without headphones. And I'm sure I can. Yeah, you can still hear me.
Yep.
So that's really all that I need. Okay, cool. Man, these headphones are hurting my fucking ears. Okay.
Yeah, and then this will probably give me flag too, but who cares? Maybe it's. Yeah, it is the same girl. Okay.
I actually have her tagged on a couple posts, and she's liked a couple of them.
Like this. This is actually on the concealments page, but this is obviously the same knife company.
Yep, the Tiger Tech.
Yeah, and I sent you this one. I want this one.
You want the one with the snake?
I want that one for an MNP Shield 9 because that's my carry.
Well, you'll have to send me the information then.
I want that one in the nose art knife that goes with. That's cool, but no, that's super rad that you found something like that you can really get behind, and it's obviously something that you're passionate about. Because there's nothing worse than an influencer, if you want to call them that, or a brand ambassador that's just signing their name to a brand to get the paycheck and either doesn't use the product or couldn't care less. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's the biggest thing with like a lot of people. Like sometimes, you dealing with things like that, you get free stuff. But me, like I'm always this is me. This is that control issue that happened, like my mental people will give you stuff for free, of course, and getting free stuff, yes, that promotes your business, and people always come back and they want more and they see how it works, they love it. But me, I've always been like, I have to buy it first. I can't do this. So yeah. When he sent me that holster and he sent me that knife and everything, I was just like, I don't have, can I pay for it? Like, like I just felt bad, but at the same time, like, no, this is all business, strictly business and stuff like that. And so like it worked out really, really good because it's getting me more familiar with what I'm doing. And, I get to have fun with it. All those pictures and everything, all taken like from just my phone. And it's great. I've made like a creative kind of artsy, just simple stuff out of it.
Oh, let me real quick while we're talking about that. This is another one that you should see if I can get this right. Yeah, here we go. This is one you should probably reach out to and see if you can be a part of if you haven't already. And everybody watching, if you care even the slightest bit about the military or people that have served or just human beings in general, is go follow the Till Halvala Project and get one of their shirts or whatever the case may be, just to help support. Their entire existence is to help servicemen and women, especially in the cases of like PTSD and that, because there's on average 22 service people commit suicide every day in America. So this project is huge. It's an amazing cause. Great people to work with, and they sell some really cool shirts too, to be fair. But it's something I think your brand and your style and that would fit these guys perfectly as an ambassador too.
Yeah, I will definitely have to look them up, or if anything, send me the page, because then I'll go to the page and see what I can do. Because like I worked with, I went out there to Camp Cowboy. Actually, if there's anybody who's watching veteran and everything and just dealing with a bunch of, issues, there's a place down there called Camp Cowboy, and they actually do horse rides for military and for the veterans. Cool. Yeah. And if it weren't for those horses, and if it weren't for Scott Robinson and those guys down there, some of those guys coming back, they would have already killed themselves by now. Yeah. Like it gives a purpose, or it gives them something to look forward to, and it definitely heals. Like it helps out a lot. And that goes for special needs kids too.
It's tough. It's a sad scenario. I mean, I was military as well, but not to the level that these guys were, and I even had a hard time when I got out being referred to as a vet and receiving veterans benefits and this and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm not a vet. I just put on a uniform and did my job. There's guys downrange that are getting shot at that haven't seen their families even on a screen for the last 9 months. Those guys are vets.
Yeah.
And it's just, because my family is all military, or not all military. My mom and dad were both in, my grandpa was in. But it took my dad talking to me quite a bit about that for probably a few months after I got out. It's like, look, you signed on the dotted line and you did your time and you put your uniform on just like everybody else. Like, yeah, my career field was not in a line of fire, and I was in no danger, and I never deployed, and I wasn't overseas or whatever. But we're all part of the same team at the same mission, all for the same goal. But that one took me a while to get my mind wrapped around. So like, there's real vets out here that really did it.
Yeah, and they deserve the best. To
Absolutely.
Be honest, they really do. I mean, I watched my dad be single and have us 2 kids and work it all with the helicopters and everything. He was doing retired stuff, but I could only imagine what he went through whenever he was flying and doing stuff out that way and everything. And it was just, he tells us some really funny stories though, but I always love like Army stories, anything that's like combat. It doesn't matter. Like I'm always there to listen. But those guys deserve the best, especially just even knowing stuff that my dad did. Like, my dad probably took out somebody that could have taken out like half of the country, So.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine that I used to bowl with that was in the Marine Corps and went to Fallujah twice. And he showed me a picture of him laying in a hospital in some foreign country, and like this like half of his skull was gone. It was missing, and that part is now fake. It's plastic or whatever, because he got blown up by some Haji or something in freaking Fallujah, and then he went back like for a second round. I'm like, dude, you're insane.
Can't get enough.
he's like, dude, I got a job to do, and I'm still alive, so I might as well keep trying. It's like some of those guys are wired different, man. It's like I got the utmost respect for those guys that went downrange and did it.
Yeah, my dad.
I don't know that I'm wired that way. So
yeah, you're definitely a different type of breed.
I deployed all the way to South Dakota, and that was the extent of my tour. So. I always joke with people. They're like, everybody says, join the military, see the world. And I'm like, yeah, Oklahoma City and South Dakota. Or Biloxi, Mississippi and South Dakota. I was like, I really saw it, man. I was there.
Right. All depends on what you get into. But yeah, my dad, he grew up in Oklahoma. So he's an Okie.
Well, I don't care if I ever go back to Oklahoma.
Right.
I lived there for 4 months twice with my job, and like I said, I don't care if I ever go back. You got anything else? Is there anything else you wanted to hit on we missed, or?
No, I think we pretty much covered basically everything. Does anybody have any like questions?
It's been a roller coaster, that's for sure. There was highs and lows, and it got real, and then it got funny, and like Yeah, we don't have a ton of people left because it's getting late, understandably.
Right.
I know you're an hour ahead, so it's even later for you. But
right.
Yeah, is there anybody in here that's got any questions for Montana? I mean, you guys have listened to me talk long enough.
your nose, your nasal cavity.
Kendra, if you're still in here, she sent you a heart when I said that we were going to send more hot chicks to the Pacific Northwest for the party. But Kendra, I don't know what this message means. I don't know what that was supposed to be. She did say that we have our Hill Valhalla Project shirts and they're super comfy. So I've still got to get mine ordered. I haven't got to it yet, but it's definitely a cool project for sure.
Awesome. Definitely want some future everything with them. Like I said, I worked with people down there in the Central Texas area, and I support all those pages, like the combat apparel, and even all the pages that I rep for, all veteran. So 100% support it.
I assume Kendra's talking to you because I've already told her I'm not moving to the Pacific Northwest. So considering the whole freaking part of the country is on fire right now too.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so bad, and they've been getting crazy temperatures too. It's just been nuts.
Really, it's an iceberg moving.
It's like global warming that Al Gore tried to warn us about.
Yeah. Right.
No, I saw a thing the other day that in Vancouver, Canada, on the West Coast in BC, it was 118 degrees, and there's 400 wildfires in BC alone.
Oh my goodness.
And I don't know if you realize this or not, but you talk to any born and bred Canadian, they will tell you that statistically, somewhere between 70 and 80% of the population of Canada lives within 100 miles of the American border. So you think about how if there's 400 wildfires in BC, which is obviously a big area, but they're likely going to be a lot in the populous area. I'm like, that's just, and then for it to be 118 degrees there, like that's gross.
Almost like what happened to like Australia.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Australia was definitely something, especially whenever the Irwins had to like make changes, drastic changes.
Country was on fire.
I could only imagine, and like all the koalas. I felt so bad whenever I saw all those koalas. I was like, no, that's a dream. That would definitely be a dream to go to Australia for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is one of the longer ones I've done. That's for sure. Nobody has topped Billy at Mutation Creation from last week, but I had to cut him off because he could have talked all night. He does like 4 and 5 hour live streams on his normally. I'm like, no. That's
a really long time to hear yourself.
Seriously.
I just want to hear myself talk, okay?
I see. The problem is I talk for a living, so I hear myself talk all the time, you know.
Yeah, if Matt was here all the time, he'd probably get a full handful of nothing but conversations that he'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, Corey, I saw that. Corey mentioned, he said he still carried it over from your last week to last night's show. And he did. I tuned into Billy's kind of late yesterday, and somebody had sent me a message that said that he was talking about me. And like I was listening to him like, Huck, this sounds kind of bad. Like Billy's like upset because he tried to actually help and give advice, and the person just blew him off and told him to go to hell. And somebody texted me, he's like, I'm pretty sure he's talking about you. I'm like, fuck, I hope not.
I hope not.
No, come to find out, because I didn't see the start of the stream. Apparently, he mentioned me and having been on my show last week as a starting off point for his discussion and his rant last night.
Gotcha.
So it was a lead off, and I was like, oh, thank God.
He was trying to make it blend, but at the same time, you were like, well, what the hell?
Yeah, when you're not watching from the very beginning, you just kind of get blindsided with it. It's like, so anyway, yeah, I can't thank you enough, Montana, for for doing this, hanging out, especially for the first. Like that's.
Definitely.
By the way, for the record, I was Miri's first too. So you guys have that in common now.
Yay! Somebody's got to do it.
you guys can bond over that. That's
awesome.
She is an absolute sweetheart. I assume you haven't actually met her.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so,
she just knows that you're awesome, and so
definitely want to meet everybody. That's for sure.
Well, like I said, she's coming your way soon, so she'll be right there in town. And if I can ever figure out how to get out of here, I might actually come to a show at some point. We are planning on going back down to Gulf Shores, where Silver Cash is from, next year, next summer again. But this time, I am absolutely doing an overnight stopover in Dallas on the way to Pensacola because I want to go to the Dallas World Aquarium.
Yes.
I have heard it's next level.
Yes. And to be honest, yeah. Anything in the Dallas area is really fun. I mean, like we went to the aquarium not too long ago and it was, oh yeah, I wish I could video everything.
Yeah.
Oh, the Fort Worth one. The Fort Worth one is better, apparently.
Ooh, those are probably fighting words down in your neck of the woods.
And the and the Fort Worth Zoo is the better one. Because right now they're doing construction with the elephant enclosure. They're bringing in tigers, lions, spotted hyenas.
Oh my.
Snow leopards, cheetahs, and they're bringing in a couple other animals, but there's a bunch of stuff that's under construction right now and it won't be ready until like 2023. But there's still elephants. There's still elements. But yeah, they have just everything. There's like things that you walk into and there's a part of like the Australia part and I think it's like the seaboard part. I can't remember. But like it's just like doors connect to each way of where animals would be. And it's just crazy. Like I love the Fort Worth Zoo. It is. Yeah. And it's only 26 minutes from me.
I like zoos a lot. Our thing has always been aquariums because that's actually where I proposed was at the Denver Aquarium. And we've been back every time we go to Denver, we go through there again. That place is phenomenal. The restaurant's fantastic. And we like going to everywhere we go, we try to find a zoo or an aquarium to go to, you know? And so like when even the Silver Cash down there in Gulf Shores, we went to the Gulf Shores zoo while we were down there. I was fairly surprised. It's not too bad. It's like 4 minutes from my father-in-law's house. It's awesome.
Really?
You could actually walk from my father-in-law's house to the zoo. It's that close.
Oh, damn. Good parking.
Yeah.
Free parking.
But yeah, I've heard nothing but just incredible experiences with the Dallas World Aquarium. So that one's on my list for sure.
Yeah, the Fort Worth, definitely go to that one and the Fort Worth one. Yeah,
I've been to the Dallas, the Serpentarium or whatever it is there. I went there when I was in the area for a while, but I never got to the zoo, or the aquarium. So we're going to make a stopover, but we're going to try to get down to Arlington at some point. And if you ever are up this way, you know where to find me,
Yeah.
But no, again, I really appreciate you hanging out and shooting the shit for 2.5 hours and getting all deep into politics and pissing people off. And, that's how it's all fun and games, right?
We'll just do it again.
Yeah. No, we'll definitely, we'll have to have you on later in the year or so and see how your property journey's going and make sure your dude's finally gotten off his butt and gotten to
Time
it.
to not. Right.
And hell, by then, maybe you'd be well on your way to a little one running around. So
I can only hope. Hopefully it's a boy. Hopefully it's a boy.
Yeah, my little girl is amazing, but I'm stoked to have a little boy on the way. That's gonna be.
I bet that's what he wants.
That's gonna be so cool. So, all right. Well, I'm gonna put you aside here for just a minute and sign off with everybody, and we'll call it quits.
All righty. All
right, guys. There you go. freaking rock star, Montana. Like I knew, a lot like with the one with Miri, I just knew that this was going to be, fun and easy, for lack of better terms, because they're that kind of people, So really appreciate having her on. I hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned. If you were not paying attention to my Instagram, we're cutting a clutch tomorrow night live. It'll be 8:30 my time, because that's the only time I have an opportunity for. But we got 10 eggs to cut. One's already started to pip, so be here for that. No regularly scheduled video this week. It's just too hectic going on. But next week, like I always tell you, let's see, next week for the live stream, we're going to try again to bring Jeremy Turgeon on from Nerd, from Brassman Reptiles, actually, because he's no longer going to be with Nerd. So we'll get in with him. We had to postpone that one a couple weeks ago, but we got him back, and so that'll be next week. I'm really excited to get talking to him and see what's up with that. So make sure you're here for that. Like and subscribe. Share this with somebody that you think needs to see it, and I'll see you guys next week. See you later.